Hi friends, it's Charity Linda Hunt, Burpee Addict. I'm interviewing another friend of mine. Her name is Daphne. If you suffer with anxiety, depression, or any sort of previous abuse, this is the woman to listen to. She has a lot of information just to go over, so please give a good listen to Daphne. All right, so I have here my very good friend Daphne. I met Daphne in Lady Boss, which is the weight loss program I use to lose a bit of weight. Daphne, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, yes, ma'am. It's an honor to be here today. Yes. Okay. Here we go. So I am one of the people, like probably most folks, that struggled always with their body through one way or another. And I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm an employee, I'm a busy person too. But I wasn't taking care of the things that needed to be taken care of, and it was causing me to drown in on myself. I kind of got to the point where there was no point, and I just didn't see anything inside myself that could possibly change. So I started to make peace with the fact that this is just the way that it was. Everybody needs to have that fat friend so that they feel better about themselves. Like, that's an important role to play. And I was proud to play that. And I was like, you feel good? Awesome. My work here is done. Never mind how that really felt on the inside. But I truly believed that. Like, I'll be the chubby mom that goes to school. Like, why not? Why not? I'll just be her. I'll just own that. And then be completely miserable inside and go home and stand in front of a mirror in the bathroom while eating all my son's Pop-Tarts and sobbing and choking just because I'm good like that. That works for me. That's my role. Trying to find your place in the darkness and validate it for the reason why you're not changing is something that I became exceptionally proficient at. Sadly, that's not sustainable either, because eventually something's going to happen that's going to jar you enough that you're going to have a moment of lucid thought. And that's when it gets really dangerous, is when you have that moment that pierces through all the bullshit that you've created just so that you can survive each day, that suggests that it doesn't have to be like that. It's almost devastating. The thought of it not being this way and actually having success and looking at a reflection and not wanting to hurt myself, it's almost terrifying to think that that could happen. That's a choice that could happen if I recognize where I am. And so I was in a really dark place when I also stumbled across Lady Boss. The words that this gal was speaking kind of pierced through where I was at that time, and it launched me in a direction that was able to change my entire DNA and that of my family. It was it was quite startling. It was quite startling. The biggest battles, are in the mind. The body is completely capable of it. You're not going to gain weight and be this bulky thing by eating right and exercising. Like, that's not one of the side effects of that, actually. So I think that the biggest step for me was actually looking in the mirror, putting down the Pop-Tart, and actually just staring in the mirror and acknowledging and recognizing where I was at that moment, and not trying to say this is where I need to be or justify why I'm there. Well, my day was really bad. Just to quietly stare and recognize, like, this is where I'm at. I'm processing grief and sorrow. That's where I'm at. I feel like I'm drowning and I can't breathe. That's where I'm at. I hate the way my body looks right now. I hate it. And that's where I'm at. And I think that you have to start at that, naked, bald, raw place and acknowledge that it's real without trying to give it an excuse or give some story, just like, this is what it is. And then you can go forward. That's what I had to do, because there's a million reasons why I was where I was. I was abused, I was raped, there was drug abuse, there's a million valid reasons why, but that has nothing to do with going forward. You have to just acknowledge it. Like, this is where I am. This isn't going to happen in 2 weeks, but we're going to go forward. So that's how I got through the lady boss thing. And it took a while. It took several months before I saw any type of change. And I had done everything, every pill that was available, even some that weren't, because I had friends in the market, done it all. Every diet, every Weight Watchers, every supplement. I've done thousands of dollars worth of it. And in the end, none of that helped me. None of that had any bearing on any success I had. It was me acknowledging, this is real, this is what it's going to take to change it, and now we're doing it. And finding women who get it. We don't have cheerleaders. I don't have any in my home. I don't have anyone who trains with me and cooks with me and is encouraging with me. I'm flying solo from home, but I was able to find the online women that were the same so that we could connect. And every little minuscule victory ever is praised. And just having that type of validation and knowing that somebody's paying attention, somebody gives a shit, somebody, even if it's small, like, my God, I think my shoes are a half a size smaller now. How does that happen? My foot has a waist, having someone to share all of that with, that's what keeps me motivated. That's what keeps me going. Because motivation left the building years ago. This is just discipline now, but now it's fun. Now I like it. See what happens? You tell me to talk.
Well, that's good. That's a whole lot. You kind of touched points with some questions I had. The next question was, you did try a lot of different things and they didn't work. Why is it you think that it didn't work for you, but it seemed to work for some people, but it didn't work for you?
Word. Yeah, a lot of things like that. Like Weight Watchers, for example. I did that for like 2.5 years. And I started Weight Watchers when I was about 250 pounds because I left the doctor's office. I'm 5'6", super tall, 5'6", thanks. I was measured recently. I'm really proud of this. My husband keeps telling me I'm shorter, but I'm not, and I have paperwork now. But I left the doctor's office, and they're like, you're 250 pounds. And they didn't tell me that anything was negative. I never have had any issues with my health that way. All my health issues have been self-inflicted. But my body, no matter how gross it was, as in poorly tended to, I never suffered from diabetes or cholesterol or heart. So my doctor never really talked to me about the fact that, maybe some broccoli in your life would be a good choice. Never said any of that, so I didn't really think about it. But for whatever reason, standing on the scale that day, the number 250, I think it was like 254 or something. There was some change added. Just like, I was like, oh my God, like, I think I weigh less than my car by a little bit. It was just such a baffling number for me. I couldn't understand. And no one in my family has this problem. Like, I am the one, because again, it was self-inflicted. I did it to myself. It's not a genetic thing. I'm not even going to go there. So I signed up with Weight Watchers because that's what you do. There's ads, or there's Jenny, 1-800-94-JENNY, bing. Like, we all remember these, and I've done them all. But I did Weight Watchers for about 2.5 years, and I was able to drop some weight. But I learned through that program that is completely unsustainable to a real person's life. I cannot look at things as numbers. Going through the store, 3 points, 4 points, 4 points. There's no emphasis on what is the source of this. I could have an apple or an Oreo and have the same amount of points. And of course, they educate like fruits and veggies can be 0 points, but it wouldn't matter. They would say, try to get 1,200 calories a day. And as soon as I would journal and hit 100, I would start panicking because 100 is a big number. And so then I would steadily not reach my points each day because I didn't want to, it's a little extra credit to not quite get there. There was no education. involved as far as if you don't eat, you will gain weight. You will. Surprise. Guess what? If you don't eat, you gain weight. Potatoes are friends. Like, nobody had these conversations with me. It was the opposite. And then I did all the other ones, right? So of course I would fail because I would obsess. I can't do the numbers thing or the macros or the MyFitnessPal little jotting. Like, I cannot do those things because it gets in my head way too much. And I obsess. It's another reason why I refuse to step on a scale. Because in reality, I don't actually care what that number says. What I do care about is that I occupy less mass on the planet and wear smaller pants. And standing on a little box that spits out a number has nothing to do with that process. So it's literally insane to judge success by standing on this box. My Muay Thai teachers and my instructors that I've had in the past, and I've had them all, you know, generally they go and they weigh in as obese or morbidly obese because they're ripped and they're cut and their body fat is so low. Like, I am sorry, but we need to get that out of our head. Like, please exfoliate your brain, because that's actually not what you want. I see people now that are like, you know, I weigh 130 or whatever. I weigh 160. I weigh 210. And they all look exactly the same, identical, because body composition is so specific to the individual. So I learned a long time ago that me taking measurements or participating in any type of program that involves tracking numbers and things like that, I will fail. I've done the ketos, I've done the variety of elimination diets, had success with them too, but it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable because inevitably you eat something and your body has been starved of it for so long that it just like spazzes out, and now all of a sudden you have a tire and you're like, why did that happen? For me, I had to find a balance between all of that. I knew that pills and things like that, forget about it. Like, just stop. Most of that stuff is crap anyway. Like, it really is. And that just wasn't, it wasn't my thing. I had to find something where I could be forced to go to a burger joint with my kids' class and be able to find something to eat, or just be out in the public, not have to be around like a specific cuisine or a specific like raw food bar. Otherwise my whole diet is going to explode. You know, like, I had to find something that was just real. Like, I'm a mom, I'm making food. I'm not going to have like kale puree and Ezekiel tortillas and like French speaking bison on hand. Like, that's just not going to be a thing that's realistic. So I had to educate myself to look at food as far as where the fuck is it coming from? Like, I can have canned peaches or a peach, and my body's going to process both of those things dramatically differently because one is contaminated and one is not. So learning how to draw out the pure foods, the whole foods, how to cook things, I have saved so much money now because I just keep it super simple and I don't overthink it. Because it's not that complicated. I think that we make things complicated because that's what's sold to us on an hourly basis. Like, here's this program and do this and do that and lot. So we're used to just like overthinking it and just being like, oh, I need bone broth. Where do I get bone broth? Bone broth. It's like, dude, you don't. It's cool if you don't have bone broth. Like, oh, it's okay. So now I approach life as far as I just try to eat whole natural foods. And when I do that, it doesn't matter if I eat too many beans. Maybe I'm supposed to have a cup of beans. I ended up having 3 because I'm starving. That's not going to add weight to my body. That's a bean that soaked up water that I ate. And hopefully if things are good, I will poop it out and there will be fiber and my body will be fueled and I will kill my workout the next day. And I dramatically feel differences in my body now when I eat things that are just not clean, and not even necessarily like clean, because we're pretty good at avoiding the processed things now. We've found ways around it because you find the foods that you like that you tell yourself, I can never give this up. I have to always have this. And it's like, all right, boo, you know what? Here, you can always have that. Yes, you can, ma'am. But we're going to tweak it a second and make it something that you can still enjoy and eat that won't actually damage yourself. because there's a tweak to everything. Like, you don't have to lose your favorite foods. And I think that people get locked in their heads about nutrition because they think it means that they're going to not be able to continue to eat these ways. And you are going to learn self-control, but you'll also learn how to swap things out. Like, if you're munching at the end of the day, there's a choice. You could go for a bag of Doritos and you could kill it, or you could kill a bag of rice cakes. Sure, maybe you shouldn't be killing either bag, but in the moment, the bag of rice cakes isn't going to hurt you like the bag of Doritos is. So it's just finding those swaps to kind of get through the moments and just be real. I don't remember what we were talking about. I got distracted by Doritos.
You went on a tangent.
Sorry.
Well, I don't think we went over this. I'm not going to ask you how much weight you lost because, you know, but
I don't know
how many, you know, I don't remember what pant size you were at when you started information and where you're at now.
Yes. So yes, I don't weigh myself hardly ever, as aforementioned brain issues. Yes. When I started, so at my heaviest, I was like 250, 254. I was somewhere just shy of 255. Then I dropped some in Weight Watchers. I started Lady Boss, which was in June of 2017, around 225 pounds. And I was wearing an 18 or a 20 if I didn't want to feel like a Pillsbury biscuit, like stuck. I'm not going to lie. And I think I've maybe weighed myself 3 or 4 times since then, but it's been several months. Last time I weighed in, I was coming in at like 190 something. But I'm wearing size 4 jeans. So truly don't care about what that little box says. I'm far more interested into how my ass looks in my new jeans.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I think you touched in a lot about the darkness, and I know that's something that you and I have a lot in common, and that's why I was drawn to you, is your openness and vulnerability and ability to kind of voice it out. If you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about where you were at when you started Lady Boss?
Oh boy. Okay, ma'am. Yes, I'm a big advocate about talking about the darkness and giving it a name. I don't think that we do that enough. We're starting to. People are starting to fight back out loud. But there's still a lot of stigma behind it. I have learned that I have to give something a name and an identity if I want to beat it into submission. So I have learned to openly talk about things and not hide behind them. I've learned to say, I was raped more than 3 times. Some by people I knew, some by 3 random men on the street. That happened to me. But that is not me. And getting to that point and being like, moving on is really hard. And it was something I was working on when I found Lady Boss. Having my child, I did not want to do that. Okay. I had an appointment made. I drove to the clinic. I did not want to do this, but I did. Thank the forces that be. But the amount of weight that I gained through that whole thing of being pregnant, not wanting to be pregnant, almost destroyed my relationship. We were living in a different state, and I left to go back when I found out, because there was the idea of I had done it on purpose to keep him around. We're way past that now. That's not the case, but that's what occurred, and so I left. There was a lot of things that built up to get to the point to where I was. As a child, I was trying to be taken out of this world before I'd even left the womb. I got into the womb as the result of a rape. Talk about full circles. So it literally was before I started breathing that people were trying to get rid of me. I would then later end up growing up in a variety of different homes, different situations, bouncing around here and there and everywhere, multiple schools all the time, constantly in flux, until just before I turned 17, I moved out and have been on my own ever since. And I knew immediately that I needed to do everything on my own. No help from anybody. Because if you ask for help, you're asking for attention or you're lying. So I learned from a very distressingly young age that I needed to just lock it up and just go on my own. And so that's what I always did. That's not a healthy place to be, because that's something that I struggle with now in my marriage, is allowing somebody to come in and to help you and to talk to them, because that's not how I'm conditioned. Sadly, through the course of all of that, after having Adrian, after your body just, I was so looking forward to losing those 50 pounds because I was breastfeeding. Like, I read about it and everybody said that that would happen. And I don't know if I was doing it wrong or what, but I did not have 50 pounds of fat sucked out of my nipples. That was not my experience. I know, right? It was quite the opposite. And I ballooned into this crazy beast. And I got plantar fasciitis for about 2 years because of my weight. And my dear friend Brooke, she's a Muay Thai teacher. She's a badass. She's got 3 kids. She's like freaking, just a Nintendo character is really what she is. That's what she is. But I remember talking to her once and being like, one of my lucid moments of like, yeah, I think that I'm going to try jogging. And, I'm saying this while there's like crumbs in my bra that she can't see, right? And she like legit looked at me and she's like, you're too heavy to do that. And just having like someone be honest with me for a second and not just pretend like it wasn't happening was really jarring to me, as it would be to anybody and everyone who's ever experienced that. And then I had times down the road where I was taking my son to school and just noticing how all the other moms were like dressed nicely, like they had makeup on, their hair was brushed, they were casually there with their little sweaters and their little like just, shit all lined up and looking all like put together. And then I'm there with like, I'm just existing, just breathing and watching the kids come out of school and running to these people. And I just had this moment of just like, what have I done? Like, it's one thing to destroy my own life, but why do I gotta be this in my son's life? Like, he should not have to deal with this. He should totally have a mom who he sees out there who's like, that's my badass mom, and go run over there and not just be like, oh, that's my mom, which, by the way, he never once did. I fabricated all of that in my head. That's what our brains will do to us. But in my mind, I had turned that situation into me just completely failing 100% my kid. And that was too much. And so I really had decided that the best thing I could do is just remove myself from the equation. I didn't have anywhere to go. So I just needed to remove myself from this reality and be done with this life, because I'm done. Like, I did my good deed. I made this beautiful human who's just like so badass, and he likes Doctor Who and he listens to the BBC and he's like super artistic and wicked smart, and like give him every chance to be amazing. He doesn't need this shit. He doesn't need to know that I can hardly stand to be touched by my husband without shivering because of my own self-loathing. That he to this day has not ever seen me get out of a shower because of my own self-loathing. Like, he doesn't need that in his life. He needs something in his life that's going to encourage him and it's going to motivate him and is going to be like, let's go do things. Let's go celebrate things. Let's go high. And I can't do that because I don't want to be here. So I decided I wouldn't. And I had made this decision before when I was younger. So I knew the correct method and everything to go about it. And I got everything needed for it and had engaged in the beginning stages of getting it done. And then that's when the infamous tale of Kaylin Toole popping up on my cell phone randomly in my car, just enough to pierce through that final stage that would have been necessary for us to not be having this conversation, because we were volatilely close. But it turned it all around. I got introduced to a new way of looking at things. I learned that my brain has been programmed to abuse me this way because I found comfort in understanding and abuse and being abandoned and being in pain. That was a comfortable place for me to be because that's what I knew. I knew what to expect. I knew that I would fail and I would feel like crap and it didn't really matter. So just go ahead. And oh, that's so much more comfortable than being like, wait, I totally just took my hoodie off at a gym and I'm in a tank top and that just happened. And now I need to get online and tell 100,000 women that this just happened while I'm in my car because this really just happened.
I remember
And having little moments. Having moments like that. Always, for months and months. But having those little moments of like victories pierce through that. And each one was a moment literally disproving the entire life I'd created mentally in my head. I learned that little victory by little victory, I could in fact reprogram my brain because my body's capable of it. I'm capable of eating right. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be right. Like, calm down. I'm not in some competition. I'm not going to be running around in some bikini on a street. Like, that's not my future. I don't need to be doing any of that. I worked at a Muay Thai academy for a couple of years, and it was one of those things where I'd see the fighters when they're preparing for fight, doing their cut diets, their elimination diets, their ketos, their Atkins, their whatever, to like cut their weight, and how that mentally changed them so much during those times, and how much they would look forward to the fight being over so that they could go back to eating. And I was just like, I can't, that's not real, man. Like, whoa, I can't live like that. So the whole Lady Boss program, and then the people that I met that did other things besides that, just the knowledge that I started gaining once I started to pay attention to the things that were actually important to my life around me, totally changed the way that I thought about things. And I learned how to fight back. And I had to do that in my own head. And I still do. Nobody wants to wake up at 3 a.m. and drive through ice to a gym. There is nobody who wants to do that.
How do you do
There's
that?
not.
I can't.
Because I have to yell at myself. I'm like, this is the only time you have to do that. And it's happening. And that's it. And I will talk out loud to myself while I'm driving. I'm like, that's fine, bitch, cry. We're still driving. This is happening. Because I respond to that. I can't respond favorably to, oh my God, I'm so glad that you're here to train. And today we're doing burpees. Like, come at me like that. It's going to just be really bad. I am definitely more of a, let's not fuck around. Let's just do this and stop. Let's just go. Like, that is the approach that works for me. And I have to talk to myself and treat myself that way too, every now and then. It is nowhere near like it used to be, though. It gets easier and it gets more rewarding and it becomes more normal as it goes along. But the beginning bits, yikes, that took some effort. That took some support.
So you have to fight through the darkness and you have to fight through your, getting up and going to the gym because I know, there's no happily ever after, you still struggle. What do you still struggle with and how do you deal with it?
Well, I still struggle with a lot of things, honestly. I can't even say that one of them has even really dissipated. I think it's just I've learned how to approach the struggle differently. I've had to change how I view my emotions. So instead of feeling fatalistic about something, that this is just the way it is and accept it, looking at it from a different angle and being like, okay, so if I do this though, what if I try this way? I come at it with more of a game plan, more of a, how do we get through this, as opposed to just letting it crush me. And I still have days where I have to sit on the floor with the lights off because it's just too much. And, I've got some awesome anxiety. It's super fun. It's really fun to have that. And that's something that, right, my poor son is, he's aware of. So sometimes he'll pat me on the arm when we're at the grocery store and be like, it's okay, Mom, we're almost done. I'm like, okay, we're almost done. Oh, carrots, but it's, it's like it's a constant thing, but I try. And I don't shake it off when it happens. I recognize it and I'll use my words and I'll be like, I'm sorry, baby, mom is got something going on in my head right now. It's just a little rough. All right, you hold my hand, I hold your hand. We're just going to get these groceries and we're going to go home and play Minecraft. So as opposed to just be like, I'm fine, because I'm not fine. And I think that saying that to yourself is the most damaging thing you can do.
Yeah.
When in reality, you're not. Yeah, you're not fine. And you got to figure it out. I still have, you know, it's a battle with, with the body thing. Again, I mean, it's gotten a lot better, obviously, but it's still, you know, when I see myself, you know, when you see your reflection of yourself, especially after you've, you know, changed quite a bit because you've just been, you know, consistent. Sometimes that reflection, though, doesn't reflect where you are. It's a reflection that you see of what was, and it's still there. And so I'll have those moments where I'll be like, well, I should just weigh myself today just to see. And then I'll be like, nope, because you don't want to see 245 pounds on that scale again. So just don't. But I know, like, rationally that if I stood on, that wouldn't happen. But it's just that reflection of the old self that doesn't go away when you lose weight. You're not going to be like happy because you have lost this weight, because your happiness doesn't have anything to do with it. And we don't sometimes understand that. We hear it, but we don't really understand that. My husband and I are dealing with this right now because like literally 10 minutes before we went live. Oh my God. It was one of those like, why are you not into me? Why are you not wanting to do this? Like, why did you used to and not now? Like all of these things, like you should be so proud. You look amazing. Like, why now? You know, and just to be able to say like, because my head is not where my body is. My body can get there faster than my mental state can. So when I shy away, when you touch my abdomen, that has nothing to do with you. That's not you. If anyone's touching my abdomen, it is you. We have paperwork. We are contractually obliged to allow this to happen. But it's not because of you. Unfortunately, that is something that will destroy a relationship. You have to be able to let that down. And you know what? That's hard. And I don't know how to do that yet. But I'm trying. So there's always going to be a battle. I don't think anyone's going to get to a point where there's not. It's just you have to find ways to approach it differently and acknowledge it. Be like, this is okay. You know what? I'm going to lean into his hand. That's what I'm going to do. I might feel like his hand is being swallowed by marshmallow paste, but I'm going to lean into it anyway. I don't know, man. It's a really rough one. The only advice is that if you don't make the decision to keep fighting, what does that mean for you? Where does that put you? You have to decide whether you're going to stand up, even if you fall again, or whether you're just going to lay on the ground forever. I think you just have to get to the point where that's your choice and then stand by it. And if you fall, that's fine. You get up. It's not going to be a timeline thing. It's not going to be this magical thing that happens. It's going to be work every day. But it gets rewarding and you start feeling kind of awesome and the battles get easier. Sometimes you get swallowed every now and then, but not as much as you used to, because you start to find self-worth. And when you start sharing your story with other people, they see self-worth in you and they might see things in you that you're not even capable of seeing. And just having someone come at you and be like, oh, hey, by the way, I think someone mentioned something the other day, like, wow, your arms are awesome. And I was just like, I just had a moment. I was like, my arms up until less than a year ago were never exposed because I hated them so much. Like no matter what, year round, sweaters, coats, hoodies, year round, even starting Lady Boss, totally every time. So this is a very new thing to have them hanging out there, just like flapping about now. But now I'm totally okay with it. And that's like a huge thing. That's not a big thing to some people, but to me, like that is a huge thing. So I have to remind myself of these little victories along the way that I've already done. when I'm having those moments where I feel like I've done nothing and it's useless. I have to remember, wait, you just did like 110 push-ups yesterday. Okay, so you need to calm down. Like, you're fine. Just have some water, go for a walk. Jesus. It makes it easier to do that once you're consistent. And then until then, you just rely on people to help you out. You're not going to make it on your own. Just rely on people. And if you crash and fall, like maybe you're doing some type of nutritional plan and you're on point, but then it doesn't work and you crash and you fail and you're just like, try something else. Like, there's always going to be another Wednesday or a Thursday. Like, just try something else. It doesn't matter if this program or whatever didn't work for you. Try something else. Like, it's fine. Or, don't do any of it and just lock it up and pay attention to what you're doing. That's a choice too.
Oh yeah. You also have to give it time too.
Ma'am, yes. A lot of people want it quick. And like I've said before, like, it took me about 4 months of being consistent and like really on point, doing all kinds of mental hacks to stay on point. 4 months before I saw anything. And if I had given up at any one of those points because Nancy had lost 70 pounds in 47 minutes,
Annie pie.
Ah, there she is.
Yay.
Yay. So you were saying, don't get discouraged if someone loses weight quicker.
Right. I was, because there's no point in doing that. Everyone is completely different and body composition is completely different. So if 5 people did the exact same exercise and ate the exact same way for the same amount of time, not even 2 of them would have the same outcome. So it is completely stupid to try to use these types of timelines and madness. I think that as soon as you let go, oh, this is going to be controversial. Oh, get it, controversial. As soon as you let go of the whole, for me, I had to let go. For me, I had to let go of the whole goal concept, because again, that was a number that would get in my head and make me crazy. So I don't have a goal. I don't have a goal size. I don't have a goal nothing. My goal is just to keep going and make sure that I'm training Monday through Friday. Make sure that more than less of my meals are good with real food. That's my goal. And if I fall and I occasionally have pizza one day and candy the next day, I don't beat myself up about it, because I'd like to think I have a few more years of life left in me. And so I'm just going to brush it off and then just go back to it. I don't punish myself and make myself do extra cardio or any of that crap. You just go forward. And in my professional opinion, that is what makes all of the difference. It's not I'm going boot camp 5 days a week and I'm doing this. It's every little itty bitty tiny choice that has the biggest impact. So electing to not eat the candy at the fax machine, electing to park at the end of the parking lot, all of those little tiny things, I think, add up more. And it's just changing your whole life around to kind of do these things and making it fun, making it into a game. It doesn't have to be a chore. Meal prep can be super fun. Like, can I do this in 10 minutes? 10 minutes, 5 days. Let's do this. Let's go. It's happening. Bam. It doesn't have to be arduous.
Well, I have 2 more questions. One is very simple. If you have a motto, what is your motto?
Hold on, there's a cat butt in my face. Sorry, that's not the motto.
No.
It should be though. No. Yes, my motto would probably be, I mean, as cliche as it sounds, it would be, lock it up. Just do it. Like, I'm sorry that you're having this emotion. Lock it up and let's move on. You can drown in it or you can move on. That's fine. You can still experience it and let it happen while you're moving on. You don't have to stop everything to bask in your misery and unfortune. You can elect to be like, okay, that's happening and I'm moving on. Just do that. And then it starts being less powerful and it doesn't suck you down as much. It still happens. Like, I'm crying, but I'm driving too. So yeah, that's kind of my thing. You don't have to like it. It doesn't have to be easy. It doesn't matter that you're tired. This is happening. So here we go. No negotiation.
Lock it up. I love it.
Right.
All right. So this is my last question to you. So is there anything that you would or could say to yourself, your old self, or anyone that might be suffering with what you used to suffer with? What would you say to them?
Well, what could you say to someone who won't listen, right? What can you say? Probably something along the lines of stop. Simple command. Just stop and take a minute. Just take a second and just breathe for a minute and just stop. Get out of your head and just stop for a second. Because when I finally stopped, when I was to the point where I was done and I finally stopped, that's when the spirit became unleashed. That's when that little tiny magical leprechaun fairy that lives in us finally gets to come out for a second. They're a little dusty. They kind of like peer like little meerkats, but they slowly like come out for a minute. I think that that's inside everybody. And I think that we train ourselves to not give it permission because we shame it and we call it names. Like, I don't know. You know, I don't know, but you know what I mean. We don't want to be too much, actually giving a crap about ourselves, because what would that mean? I'm not that conceited. I'm not that ego. I'm not worthy of blah. I think that when we let go of that and just take a second and just let it come out, that's where magic happens. I wish that I could tell myself in the past that it's all about to change. I wish that I could tell myself in the past as she was being restrained and almost being killed that this is just a moment, that that's not the end, and this is not how it has to end. And that you can actually do this because I'm from the future and it happened. So believe in time travel, bitch, because we are going to lock this shit up and we're going to become a different person and we will never be a victim because we got this. And then I'd probably slap her just for good measure.
So she's really listening.
So she knows. Got to get that focus.
Focus. I love it. Well, all good things. There's a lot of tough topics to touch on. So thank you for being really open and just sharing all of the knowledge of wealth and just
oh my. Yeah.
Well, so I'm going to end this here, and thank you, Daphne. Anything else you want to bring up before I let you go?
This has been just lovely. It's just lovely. We should do it again sometime.
Yeah, totally.
You're doing good work, ma'am.
I love you.